Welcome to the Brady Bunch of Autism, your source for family, parenting, and all things autism and special needs. Created by our family for your family. Live from the Ed Asner Family Center. And now your hosts, Navah and Matt Asner.
Happy
Friday, everyone.
Welcome to the show, the podcast. This is the Brady Bunch of Autism. Come to you live.
From the Brady Bunch
This
house.
is actually the Brady Bunch house.
This is the true Brady Bunch of Autism.
Yep.
And the Brady Bunch of Autism is a family who has 6 kids, right?
Yes. And
so today we had a little bit of a caregiver snafu. And so we had to just make it work.
And they also took off with my hair.
Yes. And your beard.
And my beard.
Yes.
Those are all gone. And
do you feel like a new man?
I do. I feel a lot lighter. I think the years have just come off me.
Really?
Quite honestly, yeah. Don't you think?
Well, something's coming off you. I don't know if it's the years, but
well, certainly the hair.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, you look so different without your beard. It's shocking. I have to get used to it.
More handsome, obviously.
Yes, more handsome.
More debonair.
Okay.
No, the beard was looking kind of old. It was looking kind of scraggly and gray and
I think
weathered.
It's because I honestly think this is connected to me posting the picture that says that you guys were in the White Beard Club. Because you look so much like your dad. And so many people said, wow, Matt, you look so much like Ed. And I think it kind of freaked you out.
Well, do I still look like Ed?
Well, I think there are traits of you that are Edish.
Yeah?
Yeah. Your eyes.
The eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
anyway.
I have green eyes.
You do have green eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rarest eye color.
It's the rarest eye color. And what else do they say about people with green eyes?
That they're wicked.
They're wicked.
No, Eddie has beautiful green eyes, and he's the most unwicked person on earth.
My sister has incredible eyes. She has these
they're like
weird
cats.
Well, and it's weird because
they're yellow. They're yellow green.
And they have like islands.
They're like yellow green and they have black kind of dots, like actual dots in them.
And you can see these incredible splashes of green and brown and black.
Well, it's kind of interesting. They really are. They're cat eyes.
Caroline has green eyes
Caroline.
too. And she does.
She does have beautiful green eyes.
So we're
I'm excited for today's show.
I am too.
And I had seen our guest on the Autism Acceptance Month, World Autism Acceptance Day broadcast that the Autism Society of America had put on.
Mm-hmm.
And Kris really impressed me. And I just felt that he was saying the things that really connected with me personally, especially about how our community has struggled in the last year and an incredible increase in mental health issues and, feelings of being isolated and being disconnected from your community has really hit our community the hardest.
Yeah.
I think, and so I'm very excited to bring Kris onto our show and really just welcome him into our community, and hopefully we'll be doing things in person, and Kris can come and speak because I would love to have that experience in person, which I think it's totally different when it's a virtual thing.
So before we get to Kris,
yes.
We have a movie chat to plug.
Yes. They're doing a movie that I have not seen before. It's the one with Melissa McCarthy.
It's brand new.
Yes.
And it's called Thunder Force, I think.
Yeah, it's with Melissa McCarthy and trying to think who the other person is. But Caroline, you probably know because you're on that movie chat. But so Chelsea's a busy lady, I'll tell you that, because this month, just in a few weeks, Chelsea, who's our social director, our autistic self advocate and social director, she is helping Kris and I debut the first ever Ed Asner Family Center dating spectrum. So we're having this incredible relationship program. And it really was inspired by the Netflix show Love on the Spectrum, which we both saw and were just blown away by.
If you haven't seen it, it's incredible.
It is. And so we started working on this program with Kathy Gott and Yudi Bennett and some of the other community members who are doing their own programs in their own organizations. But Kris and I really wanted ours to be therapeutic. We have the therapists who are involved, and also very social and very organically created by autistics for autistic individuals. So Chelsea's really helped us a lot with getting our program growing, and we're very excited. And the first in-person program starts on Monday, the 26th. We're very excited about that.
Coming up. And what is that? What exactly is it?
What is the program?
Yeah.
It's a 8-week course, and it's really for anyone. It doesn't have to be for somebody who's specifically in a relationship or has been dating already. It can be an absolute beginner who's just wants to find and get the tools to help them go out in the world and feel confident to be able to deal with the minefields that it is with dating. So, you know, as a person who I have never used the apps, but, you know, that's a very much a part of today's society, is using the dating apps and everything. So each week we're going to give our participants a new tool to work with. So whether it's social media awareness and acceptance and knowledge, especially with the social.
Never used the apps?
I never did. I never did.
I toyed with
I know that you did.
No, I didn't really use them.
Oh, man, I don't want to hear about that. I don't want to hear about your dating apps.
I toyed with the apps. I was like, oh, you know, I want to see what this is all about. And it actually kind of terrified me, so I didn't really do it.
Well, I'm terrified at the idea of meeting a stranger, and not that I don't want you guys to try that after you get the tools.
But be safe.
Yes, and that's the thing. And there's so many horror stories that I'm hearing from our community about going out into the neurotypical world with these apps, and especially for the women of our community. So it's very frustrating to hear these horror stories and not feel like there's a place where we can all get together and really learn, not just from each other, but also from professional therapists who are going to help give us tools. And one of the things that's really makes our program special is if you're going through the course weeks and you feel like maybe there's something that you don't want to talk about in public or amongst the group, you can you can ask to be put into a one-on-one situation, and we have relationship coaches. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing that was inspired by the show Love on the Spectrum.
It's so interesting because before we came on this show, we made sure that everything was quiet, and you know what? I think you should go say something.
Yeah.
She's running out to say something, but Caroline, you have a comment. Is there a way I can do this program via Zoom? Navah Asner. And I'm going to, as soon as she gets back in, we'll ask her. Okay. She's fighting with the gardener. This is the one of the pitfalls of doing the show at home, because we're actually doing it from our house because we're home today. So doing it from our house, it's kind of an interesting kind of situation because there's a lot going on at the Brady Bunch of Autism house. And this is one of those things that's happening. The gardener is making a ton of noise. Take care of business there, Navah.
That was ridiculous. I just had to kick some ass.
So I was just saying, sorry. So Caroline has a comment, and I didn't know how to answer that. So I thought you should.
Okay.
Is there a way to do this program via Zoom?
Not for the initial 8-week course.
Okay.
The initial 8-week course is only going to be in person. But after that, after we get our our first course down. The first course ends the end of June.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we are going to bring in a Zoom element.
Okay. So we'll be welcoming people from out of town.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Long distance dating.
Yes.
That'd be an interesting thing to do.
For sure. I mean, if somebody wants to Zoom in from another state, we're not going to say no to that.
Yeah.
And again, as I said, this isn't about, it's not matchmaker. It's about getting the confidence and the tools for yourself to heal yourself, to give yourself the ability to go out and eventually find love. It doesn't mean you have to find love after the 8-week course, or that we promise that you're going to matchmaker with somebody.
That's right.
Not at all.
That's right. You're welcome. You are the best, Caroline. Caroline says, thank you for answering my question.
You have to learn to love yourself before you can love anybody.
That's true.
Else, as Whitney Houston
Thanks
said.
for answering my question. Now the past question.
Okay, sorry. I was running around like a maid.
You're welcome.
I was like Panda in the backyard. Could you hear me screaming?
I saw Wolf out there too.
Oh my God. He thought it was the end of the world.
Oh, really? So
now that we've calmed down, Kris.
So Thunder, what is it called? Thunder Force?
Thunder Force.
Tomorrow on
Movie Chat.
On Movie Chat, 7:00 Pacific time. If you want to join, you write Shelby at edasnerfamilycenter.org.
Mm-hmm.
Shelby at edasnerfamilycenter.org. And let her know that you want in. You want into the program. And see if you can do that. It's pretty tight these days. It's a very popular thing. So hopefully there's room and you can slide in.
Hi, Dan, joining us from Oregon. We love you.
And there's Will Asner saying hi. Hi, Will. Thank you for tuning in. So we have one of the things we do here at the center to raise funds is we have a poker tournament every year. Last year was the first time we ever did it virtually. And this year we're doing it virtually again. And it's interesting because last year was difficult because we didn't know much about it, and it was just plain difficult doing a virtual poker tournament. And
I think one of the appeals of our poker tournament is that you can be sitting very intimately at a table with really famous people right next to you.
That's actually very true, Navah. You know, the great thing about our poker tournament is the intimacy. Mm-hmm. You're there, and you're sitting. You could be sitting next to anyone. Who knows who you're going to sit next to?
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about it. And it's one of the only times that you can really say that about anything. Like
and the stars are really down to earth, and they just kind of let the ego leave the ego at the door. That's right. And everyone is really nice, and
you're playing poker. It's fun. It's just a fun thing. They know it's
for a good cause, and they're really, really down to earth that night.
So last year was a little impersonal. There was, it was kind of had a video game vibe to it.
Yeah.
This year is going to be really different. It's going to be really spectacular and wonderful.
Bringing the intimacy, bringing the fun back.
And it's going to bring the fun and intimacy back. And I'm going to show actually a little kind of preview
snippet of what we're going to do.
Of what this is going to look like. Here you go. Take a look. Take a listen. I'm Matt Asner, and I want to give you a sneak peek of what's in store for you at this year's tournament. It's all new this year. We're using a cutting-edge platform that allows you to see and talk to your celebrity challengers in real time via live streaming right at your table. This virtual poker tournament is truly groundbreaking and the closest you'll get to in-person live table action. It's light years ahead of the video game vibe we had last year. To test it out, we gathered my dad and some friends of the center for a mock game to give you a small taste of what it will be like. Let's check it out. It all begins with a simple link that you click to enter the room that houses the other players at your table. Once everyone arrives, the table will become live and you'll be able to see and speak with the other players. Gameplay is equally as simple. When it's your turn to bet, a countdown circle will appear around your image and you'll be given 20 seconds to decide if you're going to bet, fold, check, raise, or go all in. The coolest thing about this platform is the interactivity. You can actually read the other players' faces as they make their decisions and express your joy or regret depending on how the hand goes. Who knows?
You may be the 2021 champion and dethrone Clancy Brown. This will be an incredible night of poker for you, friends, and coworkers, raising much-needed funds for the Ed Asner Family Center. So break out your sunglasses, grab a drink, stack your chips, and let's play some poker. I'll see you at the tables.
I told you.
I actually had to look that up. I was
She didn't
making
believe
a bet
me.
for him.
She was
I was making a
teasing me.
bet. I said,
No.
there's no such word as interactivity.
And of course there is.
Well, I never went to school. Maybe you went to some huffy Bel Air school, but I was homeschooled.
Well, I knew that word when I was.
Oh my gosh.
When I was
How far do you want to take this? Seriously.
Okay.
Let's bring Kris out.
We're going to bring our first guest in. Kris Guin. Hello. How are you?
I promise you that it's not always this crazy.
We're a little giddy today because we're at home.
Yeah. And we're excited to talk to you.
Excited to talk to you too. Great.
I was reading an article yesterday that I hadn't read about your. I had read a lot about you, but not about your personal story and your personal journey. It was heavy. And I had no idea that you had to kind of go it alone, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you can talk as much or as little as you want about that. It's very personal, right. But I think that it's hard enough. And we've worked so hard about autism and employment, but what Kris had to do was a totally different ballgame.
I actually think it's important for you to tell your story. And we have a mutual friend. That's how I know you. Right. Scott Badish is our mutual friend. I know he's kind of been a mentor to you, and he's a great guy. And if he's watching, hello, Scott.
Hey, Scott.
But why don't you tell us a little bit about your history and what happened in the past
So I was diagnosed as autistic when I was 11, but my parents didn't tell me about my diagnosis until I was 13, and it was really only because of how much anxiety I was starting to get. Mm-hmm. I was noticing how different I was from my peers, and so my mom finally sat me down and said, "You have something called autism. You shouldn't use it as a crutch. No one should know about it. This is why you have trouble making friends. This is why you have trouble in school." That was literally word for word what she said.
Wow.
So I didn't have any other information to go off of. So I kind of took it upon myself to educate myself about it. And this was in the early 2000s, and autism information was not all that positive at that time. So I internalized a lot of ableism about myself. And I thought that autism was this scary thing that I should devote all of my time, effort, and resources to overcome. And so I kept it a secret from most people until I was in my early 20s. And I kind of stumbled upon the autistic community on the internet. I got a Tumblr account, and I posted just randomly that I was on the autism spectrum, and I had a whole lot of autistic people coming over to me and saying, "Hey, this is how I feel about autism. I'm proud of who I am." And that was the first time I ever encountered anybody who was proud of being autistic. Mm-hmm. And that's how I learned about, the neurodiversity movement, organizations like the Autistic Self Advocacy Network, the Autism Women's Network, the Autism Society of America. And that's how I started to become involved in the autistic community. I was in college at the time at Western Kentucky University, and so I started a chapter on campus of the Autistic Self Advocacy Network, and I started to become a self advocate on the college level. I was doing some things around campus, and eventually I interned for the Autistic Self Advocacy Network, and that internship turned into a full-time job with them.
So you said you started the first chapter at university of this Self Advocacy Network.
I started not the first chapter of the Autistic Self Advocacy Network, but I did start the first chapter on my specific college campus, Western Kentucky University. So I started the first chapter there. Yeah.
What was that like, getting that off the ground? I think that must have been very exciting.
Yeah, it was exciting. It was a little nerve-wracking, especially becoming so public about who I was, especially on campus.
Right.
I went to the Western Kentucky University has a program for autistic college students called the Kelly Autism Program, and they provide support and services to autistic college students as we navigate through college life. And so there is a strong autistic community already, but there wasn't a whole lot of self-advocacy in terms of policies on campus. The biggest effort that we had on campus was WKU was going to change their priority class registration policy, and they would exclude students with disabilities. So we had to advocate to preserve that. So that was one of our bigger actions that we had.
And were they was the college receptive?
Yeah, they reversed their policy change and preserve the priority registration for students with disabilities.
Well, good for you.
Thank you.
And so now you said that you were hired by ASAN as well?
Yeah, I was their technical assistance coordinator. I helped with a project called the Pacific Alliance on Disability Self-Advocacy, and I worked with various self-advocacy groups for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities on the West Coast of California, Oregon, and Washington State. Yeah, and also helped with coordinating ASAN's chapters all across the country.
Fantastic. Yeah. That's very impressive.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, part of what I was reading about was that you were homeless also for a short period of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I attempted to move back home with my parents in August of 2016. And I had thought that my parents' house would be a relatively safe space for me.
Yeah.
And like I had come out to them as trans earlier in the year, and they weren't all that receptive towards it, but they were very harsh. But my mother, she wrote a letter apologizing for being harsh to me. Still not fully supportive of who I was, but apologizing for being harsh. So that I got a sense that maybe my home would be relatively safe. At least they wouldn't be harsh to me. So I moved home, and it was total opposite of what I thought it was going to be. And so then I started to kind of make an escape plan, if you will. And then I have a ginormous support up here in Washington, D.C. I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama, and I have ginormous support here. I have a friend who paid for a plane ticket to get me back up to DC. I had been able to secure, couches and spare rooms for about a year and a half, um, while I searched for jobs. And then I got a paid internship with the American Psychological Association. And that internship turned into a full-time job as well, like it did at ASAN. So I've been fully employed at the American Psychological Association since late 2018.
Congratulations.
And I think that's
Thank
what
you.
you were talking about when I heard you speak about, suicide prevention and
Mhm.
everything that's going on in the last year. But it's really like you had two totally separate battles, because you're coming from two different marginalized communities,
Mhm.
really, and having to fight. And no offense to Kentucky or Alabama, but
Yeah.
those are places that are not that welcoming to, to people who aren't, conventional. Let's put it that
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
And you're inspirational to us here at the center. And we actually started an LGBTQIA support group that was completely run by autistic individuals, and it was very successful. But then when we went online, we ended up having to bring in an MFT and everything. But I think for me, I really feel that you're inspirational, not just to the autistic community, but also to the other community that's becoming very much a part of the autistic community.
Mhm.
And one of the things I
Right.
wanted to mention, and I've heard this from a lot of different actual autistics, is that that there is almost, and I'm going to be very careful on how I say this, but there is kind of a gender fluidity
Mhm.
with a great number of autistic individuals.
Right.
Do you feel that as well, or do you see that in your
Yeah.
experience?
I can see it actually in the research as well. There's research
Yes,
that
I
says
think
that
yeah.
that's
autistic
what Amy
people
says.
are more likely to be LGBT than the general population.
So,
Yeah.
someone just did a study on that,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
released the findings,
Mhm.
and it proved exactly what we're talking about here. That
Well, the person who gave me the information is somebody who works with the ASAN. I keep forgetting
Uh-huh.
how to shorten that.
Yeah.
And that's Amy, who
Right.
she's very
who did the research though? Do we know?
no. And
I'll have
if
to look that up.
Amy, if you're watching, back me up.
But no, I read it like a
Oh yeah,
couple weeks
it's
ago.
crazy.
I
Well,
think it was
the percentage that Amy gave me, I'm not willing to repeat because it was so high that there's a lot of prejudiced people in the world, and I wouldn't
Well,
want to start
Yeah.
that.
life is hard enough
Mhm.
as it is. I can't. I every time I hear someone not being accepting,
Right.
Well,
Well,
I feel terrible, and
for me as a mom, I hear Kris say that his mom said, "This is something that you should hide," and that to me is the biggest issue of all.
Of course,
because as
Right.
a parent, the most important thing is that your kid is happy and healthy, and
Mhm.
everything else is
well,
secondary.
that's the secret of life, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. And so I'm giving you a virtual hug, Kris, because I
Thank
wish
you.
I could have been there to do
Well,
that.
let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
Do you talk to your parents?
No, I haven't
No.
spoken to my parents in close to 6 years.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry about that.
And
their loss, really.
Mhm.
I'm hoping that you can use that as a push into supporting other people
Yeah.
through what you
Yeah.
went through. I guess you
Yeah.
are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other parents who are watching, to lose, your child for something so, it's just, I mean,
Mhm.
I can't comprehend it.
Yeah.
And it's, I'm hoping that there is a parent watching right now whose child might be talking to them or had just talked to them, and will really take a pause in their, like you say, being harsh and speaking. There are things that you say that can never be unsaid, and they're
Right.
much sharper than weapons.
Yeah.
And you know,
Well, and it's
Yeah.
interesting. You're a huge part of that, of final acceptance and of the
Yeah.
cycle of acceptance. And it makes me reminds me of that speech by Martin Luther King when he was fighting for his civil rights fight. That I might not get there, we'll get there. I might not be there with you, but we'll get there. And do you have the hope of in a generation we won't even be thinking about this? I mean, the hope. I mean, look, we're still fighting the civil rights fight. Don't get me wrong, believe me. But is there hope that it will become easier with every generation?
I definitely do. I even see it within my siblings. My siblings are hugely loving and supportive and accepting of who I am as their brother,
it's wonderful.
as their autistic brother, as their autistic queer trans brother.
Mhm.
My sister and I, we had a rough growing up with each other. I'll say that we never really got along all that much, but now we're so close. Like
Wonderful.
I'm planning on seeing her and visiting her in July when she is fully vaccinated. And I'm so anxious to see her. And I see it with my sister-in-law and my brother, hugely loving and supportive of who I am. And I even see it with my niece and my nephew. My niece is only 4 years old, and someone as young as she is, she has such a loving heart. So I even within my family, I see hope that that people are going to come around and be accepting and loving towards each other.
That's our hope for you too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
And look, you are who you are. We are who we are.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a right to be who they want to be and who they are. I mean, that's the important thing. And God bless you for being who you are.
Yeah.
And inspiring others who are going down that journey that you had such a rocky road going down. Maybe it'll make it a little bit easier for them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right. Well, we thank you for coming on the show with us, and will you keep us informed of your activities and your movement?
For sure, love to. Yeah.
Awesome.
It was wonderful meeting you, Kris, and I hope very soon to meet you in person.
Yeah, hope for that as well. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Stay safe.
Thanks.
Take care, Kris.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.
I was trying not to get emotional.
Well, no, it's hard. It's hard not to get emotional because
God, I can't comprehend it.
We have 6 children.
Yeah.
And
you just would love them for anything. I mean, everything, and especially, I could never comprehend to tell one of our autistic sons to hide who they are.
Of course.
No more so than I could hide who I am, or you should hide who you are.
Exactly.
We are who we are. And,
exactly.
And nobody should tell anybody they should change or be anything that's their true authentic self.
I completely agree, Navah.
So
I do. I completely agree.
Man.
It's important. And like I said, it's hard. It's hard enough.
Wonderful, incredibly successful young man whose parents are missing out on his life.
Well,
it's ridiculous.
I certainly hope that. I hope that they see their heir, but
he has family, so that's
the most important thing. Has family that he loves,
and your friends are your
him.
family. You heard the story of the friends sending tickets and saying, "Don't worry about it. Come, you're welcome here." And that's your friends become your family sometimes.
Exactly.
So speaking of our friends who become our family,
we had a segment on the show that we haven't had in a while. Really, Gary hasn't been a guest for a while. We would check in with Dr. Gary about COVID, and we haven't done that in a while. So why don't we bring Gary in and kind of talk about the situation at hand, the COVID situation?
Hey, Gary.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Gary. You look exhausted. You had
oh man.
He's hitting a wall.
You're up against
Gary, up against and hitting the wall.
Up against the wall. So
it's super bright out today.
So tell me, I look at the news and I'm a little confused.
Okay.
So I of course read all the good news that's out there, and I, there's a hell of a lot of good news. A lot of people are very excited about heading back to the reopening of our country and our cities.
A little too excited.
Well, I think there's a lot of excited people, and people are posting scenes from Vegas, driving down the street in Vegas, and just the throngs of people walking down the strip, and then on the boardwalks of the beaches.
I told you, going to the public school to get to pick something up. The local public school, Gary, they were doing a back to school like mixer, and it was throngs of kids in one area together, and there was no social distancing.
Right.
It was crazy.
So we have 20, I think it's 23% of the country vaccinated now. They're also saying now that you're going to need a booster in 6 months to a year. So where are we in all this? It's very confusing.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing here today. I mean, if I could scan around the parking lot, I have 15 cars to my left here, and I've got 9 that are trying to stare at me across the way here. I've probably ran more COVID tests than I have in a long time. It actually picked back up as far as all the testing. And I think what's a little disheartening, it's holding for some people, it's not holding for others. So, I mean, I can count how many we've had come through that have had the vaccine and now have COVID again.
Wow.
So
now, when you say COVID again, are these all people that have had COVID?
Some of them. We've had a couple that have had it in January, turned around, got the vaccine, and now have COVID again. Some of the other ones are coming in after the vaccine, big reaction, waiting about a week, calm that down, and then spike a fever, and we've tested them, and I've had 3 that are positive after that.
Well, that's substantial.
Yeah, especially
you're
for
not
a small town.
You're not in New York City.
No, we're not in Seattle, and that's, I guess, my frustration is that I'm having a hard time wrapping around that, where you're seeing everybody hold up their card and say, "Look, now we've got our COVID passport," and how do we know that if they're not retesting everyone after they've had the vaccine to either see the protein spike and make sure that it's holding, or is their antibodies already worn off and they're going to turn right around and get it? I think it truly is, to me, and this is my opinion, it's a false sense of hope on some occasions when we don't know, nobody's being retested and saying, did it work? We're just saying, great, yeah, we're ahead of it. That's great. I mean, the vaccine is a good thing, but it's seeming right now more like a treatment. Like it's like people that are getting it maybe not be as sick from COVID when they catch it. But if we're just saying, look, you're protected, to me, that's not true.
Well, and it seems like we're still having the same battles.
Absolutely.
So, I was fishing on the news this morning and watched an interaction between Jim Jordan and Anthony Fauci, and they were going back and forth, and I think it drives me crazy. I think that we really need to listen to the people who are behind the science, and
but continue continue the safety precautions.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And
yeah.
Continue the I don't watch the news.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I think my concern was, and I expressed that to a lot of the patients that are here and we talk about it, is I was disappointed that you see so many companies coming up with this vaccine, and we talked about that are all different, and we're not all on the same page. And that's exactly how it still is. We're not on the same page. But why they did not bring all those people together in such a pandemic and a crisis to all work together to come up with one that doesn't have to be, minus 200 degrees. And you've got one that gives 2, and you've got one that gives 1. And this one has terrible side effects, but that one doesn't. That's terrible for the public to try to come up with, what's my best answer? What's my best solution? Should I take this one? Should I take that one? Okay, yeah. I'm dying from this one. Oh my gosh, I'm getting blood clots from this one. what a terrible way to approach this. I'm just standing here watching this and seeing all these people, and frustrating. And we're doing a shot clinic today too. So, I mean, they're doing COVID here, vaccinations today here, in addition to all the ones I'm trying to bring through that we're just testing for it.
And how can we still have the same argument over and over again about masks? I guess there were some issues yesterday with a couple of members of Congress not wearing masks, refusing to wear masks, and saying, "Oh, we've been vaccinated, so we don't need to wear a mask."
Well, yeah, exactly, and I think that's that false sense of security. When you hold up the card and you say, "I was vaccinated, I don't have to worry about it anymore. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to go back to my normal life." That's a problem. And I think when you see places like Texas, saying, "Look, we have nothing. We did everything that we want to do, and we've had no change." That's really hard to believe when I'm seeing so much here. I mean, you're talking hundreds of thousands of people versus my little town.
It is hard to believe. And I got to say, I took, can I say this?
I don't know.
I took Navah for a test the other day. She had to get a test.
How dare you?
She had to get a test because she took.
I get tested.
She took our son.
Time.
She took our son to
get tested.
To get tested, like academically, it was amazing because they split it into two different worlds. So there's the testing area and the vaccine area. The vaccine area is bustling and crazy and
lines out the door,
roaring. It's like full of activity. But you've got the testing area, and the testing area maybe like there's one or two cars in there
empty
that are going through there, and that's it. And it took maybe 5 minutes to go through.
Yeah.
And before, like couple months ago, you'd have the line around the block to get tested.
Be waiting hours.
So it's hard.
And that's how it is here today. I mean, I've got a line. I've got row over here, a row over there. My nurse staring at me from the door. It's where it's at. And I think one of your family members that was talking to me about Florida. And so I sent him some updated things from Florida, and it's terrible there. Some of their ICU areas in a couple of the different counties, 284 ICU beds available and 280 of them taken.
Yeah.
Well,
why
that
are people
family
still
member
not seeing
better,
that?
better be quarantined.
The math doesn't work.
That family member better be quarantined before he
that's
has
the
anything
thing,
to do with you.
That's the thing. It's so varied, and the information is so varied. And I think that Navah, you saying that I'm fatigued, it's absolutely true. It's frustrating. And so what happens is you see all the people in the public eye, especially here, saying, "I'm tired of this. I'm going to go out. I don't care. I'll risk it. And let's not even talk about it anymore." And so that's what you see a lot on the news is more of a shutdown and saying, we're not going to talk about it anymore, and maybe it'll just go away.
Different kind of shutdown.
Correct.
So, okay, final word here. What are your thoughts? Are you, do you think we're so just plain and simple? Do you think we're out of the woods?
No. I think the variants are going to keep changing, and unfortunately, the research that I've been trying to do on this is that they're changing so rapidly. Whereas you see like the flu change, it takes a little bit for the flu to change, and you get different variants, and they kind of got a vaccine that's ahead of most of it. So all they have to do is a little tweak. This is changing so quick and so fast coming out of these different countries that I don't know that they can stay ahead of it. And it's only going to take one really bad variant to start it again. But like we talked, I think there's been so many hundreds of thousands of people that have died from this. The numbers aren't going to be that extreme again until something like that happens. And then I think you'll see a big death spike, but it won't be the same as the beginning because it's already taken out a lot of people.
And the one follow-up, can we actually have an accurate count of what's going on if we're not testing the way we used to test?
No. And with the states that are just shutting it down and saying, we're not going to report because we don't want anybody to know because we want to live our life. I think we've lost a lot of that. I don't think that's going to be accurate anywhere. So the ones that want to keep funding going and keep testing like this in the parking lot and trying to stay ahead of it and be accurate, you're going to hear those numbers. But the big ones that just want to be about their business, you're not going to hear it anymore.
Well, Gary, thank you very much. Sobering report. Let's have you on again real soon. And you've got on the upside, on the happy side of things, you've got some wonderful. Gary's on our auction committee for the poker tournament. He's getting some really exciting stuff. So maybe on a future show you can come talk to us about what you're bringing in for the auction.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, buddy.
All
We'll talk soon.
All right, stay safe.
Keep your chin up.
All right.
We love you, Gary.
So, well,
that was uplifting.
Yeah. How do we end now? How do we end? Well,
if he could say a bad word, he would say we're.
Yeah. Well, damn. Let's just say, damn.
Oh, damn. Nuts.
So, okay. Well, that's it for this show.
Yes. Thank you for being patient with all our quirks.
A lot quicker than I thought it was going to go.
And our, this is the Brady Bunch of Autism, and we're wacky and wild and things.
Hey,
happen.
If you ever want to hear someone yell at the gardener, all you have to do is tune in when we're doing a show from home, and we'll yell at the gardener for you.
I actually ripped my throat doing that, and he didn't hear me. So,
all right, everyone. We will. How about fudge? How about fudge?
Oh, fudge from the Brady Bunch of Autism. Brady Bunch. Fudge. Remember, Fudge was their dog, I think.
What are you talking about? I think she's just saying something that sounds good. And uplifting.
Fudge was a character on the Brady Bunch, right? Cheryl?
No,
Cheryl, answer that.
Fudge was not the dog on the Brady Bunch.
So.
The dog on the Brady Bunch was Tiger.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Don't get in a war with me in trivia.
Okay.
It's not going to happen.
No.
So, all right. Well, everyone have a great weekend. You too, Kimberly Agostino, have a great weekend. Everyone else have a great weekend.
We'll see you next Friday.
Bye-bye.